Welcome back to our grand finale of The Age of Attraction. And let me start by saying I'm not sure why this episode had to be an hour and 11 minutes because we could have got the same impact in about 30 minutes to 40 minutes. The production budget obviously was a little bit low because if you saw in some of the scenes in the finale that either the locations team is terrible and may need to be fired because did you guys see the flies flying around people's heads and stuff? Like, terrible location. But all of that aside, we braved through all 8 episodes of this season, and let's go ahead and get to the commitment ceremony. Honestly, a lot more people stayed together than I actually anticipated because I thought that this was going to be a breakup fest, but it actually turned out to be a love fest. But let's be real. This was a 3-week experiment, and nobody should even be thinking about moving in together or getting engaged after 3 weeks. But who am I to tell somebody how they should love another person or what they should do for love? But that's just really my opinion. But a 3-week experiment that was a little awkward at times, and it doesn't really seem like a lot of real conversations came out of any of this, and a lot of fluff, but maybe it was real because we're not there. We only saw snippets basically through these 3 weeks, but maybe it was more impactful in person. And the only other thing I will say is I'm not here to judge anybody, and everybody deserves love. And I'm glad that most people found love, and I hope people continue to find love. I just don't think everybody's love needs to be displayed in some of these awkward ways on these reality TV shows and put out there for everybody to digest and commentate to. But I do appreciate it at the same time because thank you for giving me something to commentate to. But anyways, let's go ahead and get to the final decisions and see who actually chose love and commitment, and let's see who didn't. Let's start with Chris and Leah. When we get with them in the apartment, when the episode starts, they're in there talking back and forth, and she's telling him how, she's going to miss him and all that stuff like that. But Chris is packing up, and you could kind of tell the energy that he's kind of giving off, that he's being nice, but at the same time, Chris is ready to go. He is ready for his experiment to be over. We all know if we didn't know any couple wasn't going to, if we didn't know any couple that wasn't going to stay together, we knew Leah and Chris were not going to stay together, especially after the last episode with the breakdown that he had with his mother. But Leah continued some of her clingy ways, and she was telling him that, oh, how he isn't going to be able to sleep and stuff like that. And he assured her that he was going to be able to sleep very, very well. But fast forward to the commitment ceremony, and this relationship is over. She obviously wanted to commit to him. She told him a nice speech about how she wanted to be with him and chose him. But Chris, he kind of gave himself a cop out and used the age difference as a way to not be with her or whatnot. But in my opinion, from the outside looking in, this came down to personality differences. I don't think they ever really meshed personality wise. And I thought that in the beginning, like in most relationships, it's like instant honeymoon phase where you're just, oh my God, this is the best person in the world. And I think there was a lot of that in the beginning, but when you start to really get to know somebody, then the personality and stuff kicks in. And do I want to be around this person all the time, or is this somebody that I could actually see myself with? And I think they dealt with a lot of that, and it reared its head in the end, and they've decided to, Chris decided to go his separate way, and they're not together. Now let's talk about Libby and Andrew. Now, Andrew, he was setting himself up the whole time for a cop out. He constantly kept reminding Libby that, oh my God, the age difference, and she has her whole life ahead of her, and all of those things like that. But meanwhile, Libby is telling him that, hey, your insecurities are my insecurities, and I can't see myself without you. And I'm not sure where they are now, but even in this moment, it didn't seem like somebody who was really wanting to be in a relationship with this person. I always thought Libby was on a 3-week vacation and she was just kind of living this situation up and, just kind of having fun because she never really came off that serious. And Andrew, I don't really know what to say about him, and especially after we met as friends, I didn't really have an opinion on him as far as if I thought he was really serious about this relationship, especially when Libby is close in age to his daughter. And I saw in the trailer for the Age of Attraction reunion that's going to be on the Vial Files that at least to this day or whenever they recorded that episode, she still hasn't met his kids. So who knows how many months or weeks it's been in between the show and this reunion that this is still kind of unfolding. But all in all, they shockingly decided to stay together. I was surprised by this because I just thought this was not going to work. I'm just like, okay, he's just you're going to have your whole life. I'm 38, you're 22, and all that stuff. And I just thought that he was kind of going to use the ageism as a reason to not be with her, but they both chose to stay together. So I guess they were in it to win it. But personally, I just don't think they match up. And then there's Theresa and John, the couple that I didn't really think were going to work out long term after the lies and stuff last week kind of played out. And she didn't want to tell her kids his real age because she was afraid of what they may think or whatever the case may be. But here in this episode, her kids wrote a nice letter letting her know that, hey, mom, it was great seeing you happy, and we don't really care how old he is, even though they probably do care how old he is. I mean, because I'm sure they want to know. And by now, I'm sure they know, and I'm sure we'll find out on a reunion because it actually seems kind of explosive, the reunion I'm speaking of. So I may actually check it out. We'll see. But going back to them, I thought that this was leaning towards a situation where they were going to break up because at their commitment ceremony, she kind of was leaning like, oh, I don't know what my kids think. And so I'm thinking like, okay, she's going to break up with him. And I was shocked because this was one of the couples that I just knew was going to make it. But they did decide to stay together. And I think the letter from her kids to him, I can't remember if she read it or not beforehand. I think she said she didn't, but maybe she did. I don't remember. I think the letter gave both of them the comfort that they needed to go ahead and move forward. I don't think they're together anymore because they seem really at odds. He made a comment in the trailer where she texted him about him being disgusting.
I don't deserve to date someone who texts me, I feel disgusting with you.
No, it's not easy.
Libby,
So I don't think that relationship is working out anymore, but you know what? I think I may watch this reunion because I'm actually curious. Since we put in 8 episodes of work to talk about this show, I'm actually kind of curious to see if these people are still together or how they feel about each other now, especially with the public opinion out there. Now, let's talk about Vanessa and Logan. Now, this one was a little weird to me because in the beginning of it, it seemed like she was trying to guilt trip him into staying with her because she just kept talking about all the PTSD that she had from her previous relationships and she just felt like this time she picked the right one and that her meter was, basically her spidey senses were telling her that Logan was the person for her. And, I don't know. It felt like she was trying to guilt trip into staying with her. And by the time they got to the commitment ceremony, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this is over. Logan is done. At the commitment ceremony, I thought that he proved me right because he asked for their little promise ring back. So I'm like, damn. I'm like, I don't even think you bought this ring and you're asking for it back. Like, that's kind of dirty. But he did it to actually propose to her, which caught me way off guard because one, I didn't think they were going to be together. Two, this has been 3 weeks and you're proposing to her. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes in these shows, and I would love to be a producer or a PA or anything on one of these shows one day just to kind of see what goes on behind the scenes and what kind of mingling and conversations. And because maybe being in an experiment where you're trapped with a person, not trapped, but where you're with a person almost 24/7, maybe there's a lot of conversation that comes out of being together like that. You just feel super connected. So maybe it's just different. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know what you think. Or have you ever been a part of an experiment like this? Or have you experienced something like this? Because I haven't. Please let me know what you guys have experienced in your lives. And if you've ever had this type of love or attraction or connection to a person. Because yes, I have had this and I do have this connection with a person, but it was built over time. But it definitely wasn't in 21 days. And then the last couple, Pfeifer and Derrick, I wasn't really surprised by this at all that they decided to stay together. They seemed the most sure the entire time that of a couple. And I think the last episode showed where there was maybe a little doubt, but she decided that, moving to Dallas and uprooting her life from Seattle is going to be worth it. And Derrick tells her, like, hey, you don't even have to get your own place. You can come move in with me. And I think that's a nice gesture. But 3 weeks, having somebody move in with you don't even know her living habits. And a little bit of time y'all stayed together in this experiment, I don't think that counts because I'm sure everybody was putting their best foot forward. So that's a huge commitment in itself. And I saw it in the trailer as well where she was not at the ceremony. But that's probably to throw us off. I'm probably thinking that maybe she's pregnant or something like that. I don't know. Let me know what you guys know. I haven't seen anything on social media really because I'm busy. I don't really have time to check everything out on social media and dig in everybody's tea. But if you guys know anything, please drop it down in the comments because I would love to talk about it in the future if there's anything worth talking about. But like I said, Derrick and Pfeiffer decided to stay together. And it was crazy to me that 4 out of the, I guess, final 6 couples decided to stay together because Vanell and Jorge decided to leave, a few weeks ago. So I was shocked that this many couples stayed together. And I'm actually kind of interested to see where they are now. But that was Age of Attraction. I would rate this show maybe a 2 out of 10, maybe a 3 out of 10, something like that, because we did finish it. So I can't give it a 1 or a 0. So I doubt this show is coming back. I would not recommend that this show come back. I think it's very controversial and I don't know, even if it wasn't controversial or if it was not kind of awkward, it was really boring. Like, it wasn't the most exciting dating show that we've seen. Let's be honest. This was not exciting at all. It was very, very slow paced. It was kind of hard to get through, especially in the beginning. You really had to be willing to be locked into this show in order to kind of stick with it because I've heard a lot of people didn't even make it out of the first episode. I'm not for sure because they were disgusted by some things or if it was just that boring. But the overall consensus was this show was not that great, so I don't expect to see it again. But do you want Age of Attraction back or let me know what you guys think down in the comments because I would be interested to see how people feel about whether they want this show back or not. But keep coming back with me because we're going to keep covering Netflix reality. Next week, I think we have Temptation Island starting up either next week or the week after that. But we're going to keep this Netflix reality rolling and kind of enjoying it anyways because it's kind of relaxing just to kind of watch other people's chaos. So if you like Netflix chaos, if you like Netflix reality, or if you like reality in general, and if you have any other reality shows that we want to recommend that we talk about together, please let me know down in the comments because I am looking forward to talking about anything you guys want to talk about. But with that being said, I think we'll go ahead and get out of here. And like I said, this is the end of Age of Attraction. Probably the definitive end, but we shall see because I've seen worse shows come back. But catch you guys next time. Let me know what you think down in the comments about everything. And thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Bye.